take our minute silence. Okay, roll call for form.
Supervisor Stott?
Present.
Trustee Gray?
Present.
Trustee Melody?
Present.
Trustee Severs?
Present.
Trustee Marson?
Present.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. Public comments?
No public comments? Nothing?
No.
Okay. And approval of
Second
minutes.
page.
Oh, does she have one? Okay. Okay, approval of minutes from November 17th, 2025.
An amended 8L.
Okay, an amended 8L. Everybody received an amended copy.
I gave you a copy with the minutes and 8L. Like I said, unfortunately, with Terry being in the hospital all week, Cynthia, thank God, typed these up for me, but she had in the minutes that are in your packet that it was approved for the township levy. It was not, so the amended one states that it was not approved, so.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the amended minutes with the amended 8L, reflecting that we did not pass the levy at the November meeting.
I'll second.
Trustee Gray and Trustee Melody.
Okay.
Do you want to call roll for it?
Sure. Supervisor Stott?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Merson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Reports from township officials. So we could start with the trustees. Trustee Melody?
I do not have anything to
And Trustee Gray?
I just wanted to say that this Wednesday, today's Monday, right? This Wednesday, in 2 days, is our second Veterans meeting. We have about 7 or 8 members right now, and we're looking forward to our second meeting. And I want to say Merry Christmas to everybody and Happy New Year, because it is December already and we won't be back here until January. So that's all I have.
All right. Trustee Martin?
No report, just real quick. Homer Athletic Club opened up their registration for volleyball, for recreational volleyball. So if you are interested, just go to homersports.com and they'll have their information on there. I believe the season starts sometime in February, but I believe registrations are open. Wishing everyone a happy holiday as well.
Trustee Severs?
No report, just wishing everybody a happy holiday season.
Okay, and our highway commissioner is not here. Assessor Morello?
Yeah, hi, thanks everybody. Today we spent a full day over at the supervisor assessor's office. We got our tentative factors, so that was good. Our county sits at a 10% factor at the moment, but Homer Township looks like we're going to have a 9.8% factor for the year. The other thing that was good news is we talked about some legislative items that came up. They did speak about the senior freeze on the homes. It was passed by the House and the Senate of Illinois, but it has not got a signature from the governor yet. So we're hoping to see those changes come through. They bumped it up to $75,000 in 2026, $77,000 in 2027, and then $79,000 in 2028. So hopefully we'll see those changes go through. Other than that, I want to wish everybody a happy holiday, and that's all I have to report.
Okay, and for our collector, I'm sorry to say that our collector has resigned as of December 31st. We'll report more on that at the next meeting. Okay, and for me, the supervisor, snow. I just wanted to say that this was a little bit challenging the last 2 weeks because there were, weekends and holidays. And I saw in the news last night that we have so far had 17.1 inches of snow this season. And the total for last season was 17.6.
For the whole season?
Yes. So, as I said, that might explain a little adjusting that we have to do. We currently have 3 maintenance personnel that attend to the snow They do the admin building first, or the Founder's Crossing, depending on the day and time. And then from there, they will do the dog park and Trantina Farm and Morris Park. So just so you have an idea, if you see a park that's not plowed yet, it just depends on the staff and how the snow. That one that was over Thanksgiving, I mean, it was just like it lasted all day long. It was pretty hard to keep up with that. So we usually wait for 2 inches before they come out and plow. So, but before that, if they know it's going to snow, they will sow ahead of time. And last month, we surplused some equipment, and I'd like to report that our Ford 250 with the plow and salt spreader is listed on govdeals.com. I think the auction is open for like another week, and it's doing well. So, and then also, I attended a Will County Public Safety Symposium on November 19th, learning everything I can so that we can be prepared. We have wonderful first responders with the fire departments and sheriffs, but just what the township's role is, it's good to attend those things and be educated. We continue to have people coming to the township for general assistance, and I want to thank everybody who has brought food to the micro pantry. It is really used regularly. And I just want to say that in most cases, we can't help financially the people that come because our guidelines are pretty strict, but that doesn't mean that they aren't very needy. So if I can encourage everybody, like over the holidays, to give to the charities that help others. The people that we usually see coming for assistance, they're widows, they're people with disabilities, and they're single mothers that have had like some upset in their lives. So those are, if you think of charities that help those people, that would be really great. And on that note, I'd like to wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a good New Year. And moving on, action items, approval of bills for payment. Is there a motion to approve the payment of the bills for, I don't know if this is wrong in here, it should say November. Okay. All right, the bills for November 2025, the certificate of deposit, equipment and building, Founder's Crossing bond, Founder's Crossing general assistance, open space, park, road and bridge, and town funds.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Gray and Trustee Marson. Okay. Okay, you want to call the roll?
Okay. Supervisor Steinle?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Marson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Moving on, approval of appointment of Dan Penny and Jan McLean to the senior committee. If I could have a motion to approve their
I will
appointment.
make that motion.
I'm second.
Trustee Severs, Trustee Melody.
Okay, Supervisor Steinle?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Marson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, the next item is adoption of the loss control policy. And this is basically what this is. It's a statement to our risk management, acknowledging that we as a township board and all of our employees are mindful of safety regulations and that we are doing our best to keep up on training. We have a manual, they give us risk management sheets that we hand out to our employees. And so that's basically what this is. So if I could have a motion to approve the adoption of the loss control policy.
I'll make that motion.
Melody?
I'll second.
Severs? Okay. Severs. Supervisor Steinle?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Marson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, the next item, approval of resolution 2025-1208, Res 1, pre-authorizing the appointment of a temporary deputy supervisor upon the supervisor's temporary inability to act, and appointment of temporary chair for board meetings. And I'm not going anywhere. So we do want to make sure that we're not scrambling at the last minute. Okay, if I could have that motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Anderson and Severs.
All right, Supervisor Stroud? Aye. Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
Trustee Marson?
Aye.
And Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Before we go further, this isn't, I mean, the motion we just did, Jason, does not say that I'm put in that position. It only says it in the background information.
It's in the motion was to approve a resolution, and the resolution contains all
Okay,
the
all right.
information.
I see it down in the background. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah, the resolution's in the packet.
Yeah, I see the resolution.
Yeah,
It just wasn't in the motion line.
Yeah,
So,
that's okay, as long as we approve the resolution, it'll
Okay.
adopt the substance of it.
right.
Okay, now for probably the big one that'll consume a little time. And that's our township levy. Last month, we presented a levy option, and there was still some confusion. What we really need, honestly, is would have been nice to have a workshop to really hash this out and just become educated. I don't know if a lot of people really understand how a tax levy works, and I have to tell you that it's very complicated for us too, because we decide a figure that we think we're going to need from the tax, money that we need to ask the taxpayers for. And then the county takes into consideration what the value of your home is. There's what's called the equalized assessed value, which isn't the full value, it's less. And then they spread that out amongst everybody, divided by the amount of money we ask for, and that's how you get your rate on your bill, if that makes sense. So, and then to further complicate that, when we're trying to figure this out, we do our budget in June, and this levy is also for 2025. It's not for even the next year, but we don't get this money until May of 2026. So it's just very hard. I think there's going to be, if you guys have questions, I'll do my best to answer. Maybe even Jason might know something. But to add, we've got Assessor Morella here to also help answer. So I don't think we're ready for a motion because there's like so many factors. And I just want to, can I just open it up to questions first?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to just open it up for questions. Or comments.
Ken, you want to go first? Ken's got it.
Yeah,
Ken, you go first.
Carmen, regarding this EAV number, is that an actual number, the 2,312,000, or is it just
So-
an estimate? How do we?
We're only on a 10-month, so it's tentative. Okay, so the SOA's office today gave us the estimate of our equalized assessed value, but it's only in a 10-month period. Because they haven't finalized November and they haven't finalized December yet. So if you notice, those equal signs are kind of like wavy. So these are estimates. These are not true numbers, but it gives you an idea of how it's calculated, right?
So could we assume that number may go up, may go down? I mean,
It's probably as close as you're going to see coming into the new assessed value here, because everything's done except for board review. That's what we're waiting on. We're waiting on the final number from board review. Once we get all the board reviews, now we only had 136 cases this year for the board review, so we don't see that number fluctuating too much. So I'm assuming that we could be in a good position as we look at this number.
okay, so when the tax rate is calculated, the EAV, I see here we have net and then we have the adjusted. Are
Right.
we using the net or are we using the adjusted?
So we usually use the adjusted because we pull out the new property. Because is that a pro rata, right? It's not, some of it's not 12 months, some of it's 9 months, some of it's 10 months. Some of it's just came on, like in the last month, so we can pull those, we usually pull those, we can pull those numbers out. That's how we look at that.
And I think I wanted to point out this too. I gave everybody a sheet for our income and our expenses for this year. And I really think that the public needs to know this.
Yeah.
So this year, our income so far for what we would levy is $1,279,212.03. Our expenses, and we're into 8 months, is $916,701.55. Okay, and that means that we have like $362,000 left to spend if you take that income and take away what we've spent so far. Well, our expenses per month average out to $114,587.69. So if you take that and we've got 4 months to go, we need $450,000 to make it through the next 4 months without, doing anything spectacular. Okay. So the point I'm making is we spend more than we levy, and we have done that for the last several years. So what that means is that we go into reserves that have been built up over the years. And at some point, those reserves aren't going to be there. And that is, to me, a major concern. So, let's take that. And so that needs to be understood. We campaigned on not raising taxes. So what's going to give? And I have to say that for the time I've been in office, the previous administration had one extra person working in the office, a full-timer. So we have not. We've been running with one less person there. We ran short on maintenance at the beginning of the season, just for not planned, but because of people retiring and having to replace them. So we haven't really done anything to spend those funds. So that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I agree. Every time we look at the numbers, and I think this is really going to be borne out when we do the budget workshops and going forward in January, February, March, when we start to really get an idea of what these numbers, how these numbers translate into everyday spending. But to your point that we did run on not raising taxes, I think now is not really the time for us to be looking to do anything like that. I think that we probably need to at least fully digest one full year of budget and levying to fully grasp what we're doing. I share your concern about the reserves going down, and that's an inherited problem. I mean, that is basically because that big red building over on 151st Street ate up a lot of resources over time, and ate up a lot of resources that have been sitting there, like you said, they've been accumulating. Now we're struggling to, reseal parking lots and restrike things and replace, vandalized equipment and whatnot. But we are going to definitely do a deep dive on the budget and understand that. And I think at that point, then, after we do the levy, after we do the budget, we'll understand more going into the next cycle of this. Mm-hmm. What changes need to be made. Maybe we can do some workshops and open forums about that.
Well said, Keith. I agree. I think we got to digest for a full year and really dig into that budget and see if there's expenses that can be cut. I don't know, or other things to balance the budget without raising taxes. And after a year to get through that, I think we'll have a better idea of what needs to be done. I would not want to take any measures now.
And bear in mind, utilities and insurance have all gone up. So.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people that are, the electric bills went up like 25%. I don't know what the commercial rates have done. But so we have a couple options in front of us. And that is, we could keep the levy absolutely the same. Okay. And, or we could do what's called trying to recapture new growth. and that's a little bit hard to understand, and it's also hard to estimate. But Carmen had prepared, Assessor Morella had prepared the sheets that were in the packet. That was, it kind of touched on new growth, but from my understanding, Carmen, please feel free to jump in.
Sure.
if I misstate anything, or if you can add to it. We have new growth in the township, and I don't know if we had like 700 new homes or what that number is, but those houses, when they were first assessed, it was a vacant lot. And so that price is a lot less than a lot with a house on it. So what we can do is we can estimate that figure, and that's in here. I think that was
So the new
say
growth.
like 195,000.
No, 195,000 was the actual homestead exemptions that get pulled off.
Oh, that's the exemptions. Okay.
So how that works is general homesteads, we subtract that number out. Last year was 195,000. So like I said, these are estimates. So we just pulled that number out of the equalized assessed value because we won't capture that, right? Because that's an exemption that we're going to see going forward. Does that help, Sue?
Right, yeah. So what I meant was the equal assessed value is 31 million is what's in here. That's what the county had estimated to us was the
extra growth.
The extra growth. So with Carmen's calculations, if we wanted to, it's not really going to raise your taxes, but it would help us recoup about $18,000. We would add that to the levy, and that should be spread amongst the people with the new growth, and that should even be separate.
Not the existing property taxpayers, right?
Right.
So it'll level out the rate, right? The rate will just stay the same as we have in the past. So you're just increasing the dollar amount because of the EAV increase. So that's why we can capture the dollar amount.
Right. Will County just recently did this when they passed their levy. They levied a 0% increase in their levy, but captured new growth.
Correct.
So they're capturing it countywide. We're just talking about capturing the new growth that's happening in Homer Township.
Correct.
And is there a reason why a municipality or a township or anybody would not do that? I mean, new growth will increase demands on all the different governments that are attached. Even at the township, we might not be plowing those roads or a lot of those are in incorporated areas of either Lockport or New Lenox, primarily where those houses are going. But again, those are all still constituents of ours. So if we do mass mailings to the entire township, that's an increase. I mean, any of those people can come and ask us for assistance in any given way because they are part of our township. So there will be an increase in demand on our services, whether it's negligible or considerable is yet to be seen. But I mean, why would a municipality say not do that?
So a lot of them just because sometimes it's a political fair, right? We're in the middle of election season, stuff like that, so they just want to, look good for the constituents out there.
Sure.
We'll do a zero levy, right? But we're going to capture the growth. That's a lot of times what happens. Our schools are not notorious for that. They like to capture the new growth because they know they're going to get the students, and they are 70% of our taxing body. So that's why it's important that the schools always try to recapture that growth if they can.
Okay. Yeah, they really do. They really do.
Yes, they do. In our situation, we're a township, we see a little less of that recapturing because it's not so much. We're not taking so much of the pie, right? That's the goal.
But really, we do have a lot of growth coming. New Lenox has, Mayor Baldwin in New Lenox said just the other day, I think they have like over 1,000 houses in the pipeline between Tierling. And I know they have other areas that are outside of the township, but we know that Tierling is in township, and that's 560, I believe. Sadie
Right.
Ridge is about to break ground. All those new apartments that just came online.
Plus, we're looking at some new commercial. We got a storage unit going in Lockwood, part of Homer Township, so
Okay.
that's going to be important. We're going to see that growth. So we're seeing a lot of growth, yes. Our office is going to be busy next year for sure.
Yeah, and again, there's another
There's
demand,
another-
right?
right.
Another demand on township
Yeah.
services.
You have to pay people to tell you how much to pay for your taxes. But that is important to make everything fair. So we had a couple different figures in here. One was if we kept the levy the same, we had 1,348,780. And then,
I thought the 1,342,000. I thought that.
yeah, I'm trying to figure out how we got.
The 1,348,000 captures the new increase in the debt service.
1,342,000.
Oh. Yeah.
And then there would be the new one.
With the debt service, right?
Right, and then 1,367 would be with that.
Correct.
So there's actually three different ones.
There's three different numbers?
Yes,
Okay.
the 1342 was the last, the 2024
The levy.
levy. And then if we add the debt services, that would take it to 1,348,000. And then if we add back this estimated 18,520, that would take it to the 1,367,000.
Right, and that's why, the reason why I add debt service in there, so what the debt service is, we had a bond for the Founders Crossing units, senior housing units. And those units are self-sufficient, meaning self-sustaining, the rents basically pay for everything. And later on, after we vote for the levy, we are going to vote for an abatement. And any tax money that is, that was levied for that is then taken off, and you never see that on your bill. So that's why there's two figures. So because that money will get abated. We have to levy it in case, I don't know, in case there's some weird circumstance that we can't pay it.
Yeah, it's generally an obligation of the bond companies as well as they
Oh, okay. So because
But
they
then
want to pay it.
if you have the revenue to pay it, then you pay it.
And I can safely say that we do always have that revenue, because we're voting on it tonight
Right.
to pay that. So that's why I put in that 1348780 figure. So there's that. So like Ken said, we could go with the first one, which was the same as last year, which was about $8,000 less, or the one that includes it went up a little bit because of the way the bond servicing is. And then the other option was to capture the new growth, which this figure, that I think this came from you too, Carmen, the 1367300. Yeah. So I guess what I'm looking for is a motion.
Well, could I ask a question?
Sure.
So, Carmen, I'm going to rely on your expertise here. So if we use the 1,342,000, we just stay there, and then with the new EAV,
The rate will reduce, yes.
well, when I do my fuzzy math, it looks like the rate goes up.
So if you take the 1,342,
Yeah, by the 2,312.
I don't do the math, but I don't think it goes up. Doesn't it go down? Goes down, so it's 0.0580, right?
Yeah, but I'm looking at 2024 as 0.5x6.
That was what was on the actual tax bill. So after the county got that number, that was the actual number after board review, and everything was said and done. See, we're only looking at an estimate because we're only sitting at 10 months, right, of tentative EAV. So yeah, you're correct, it was lower, but none of the board review stuff is in this number, this 2,312, 317, there's no board review activity in there. It's only straight up 10 months of EAV. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so really the only thing on here that we have any certainty of or that we can control is our levy number.
Correct.
The percentage is going to change based on what the final audited or EAV is after,
Correct.
like you said, all of the exemptions are meted out of that. And so we can't control the EAV, and we can't control or what that percentage will look like in the long run. All we can control is the amount that we levy, whether that's an increase or keep it the same and capturing the growth. That's the only thing I mean, you look through all this stuff, and I'm a graphic artist, so numbers confuse me enough to begin with, but I'm starting to get my head around it that a lot of this is out of our control anyhow.
Yeah, because my EAV, when I started out, my rate is way higher, because, right, I don't have the SOA putting his fingers on it, and then I don't have the Board of Review putting their fingers on it, and then anything comes in from PTAB. So I don't see any of that numbers until my final number comes in, and usually it's late January. And that's where that EAV, that's why these are only estimates to give you guys an idea of where you want to be. Now listen, do you have to levy this amount? No. Can you levy more than that amount? Sure, but you only got a 5% increase, right? So that's how that works. Does that help?
It does, but when that comes out in 2025 year rate and it says 0.05834, is it going to look like we're raising taxes?
It may not though.
Well,
Yeah.
we don't.
Right.
That number, though, and again, Carmen, I think will probably agree with this. Those numbers are based on the entire county, and that EAV is going to be climbing and moving and all sorts of shifting, and those are not in our control. All we can, if you really want to control this and say that we didn't raise taxes, then levy the same amount that we did last year. Capture new growth. I think everybody agrees that capturing new growth, there will be increased demands on our services, and I think that's responsible. At a minimum, it's responsible. Supervisor Steinle starting out saying that, we're watching our reserves dwindle a little bit. We're watching insurance and utilities rise, in some cases exponentially, for health insurance and things like that. So I think it would be prudent for us to at least capture the new growth. The new growth, while it looks like it's $31 million worth of new growth, and that's a great thing, our portion of that, what we levy against each and every property, is minimal. It's $18,000 over $31 million worth of new growth. I mean, this is what municipalities do. They encourage new growth within their boundaries. And when that new growth comes, it has to be reflected that there will be new and increased demands on what we do. So I think the case to Trustee Marston's point is, if you want to say you didn't raise taxes, which I want to say I didn't raise taxes also, I would recommend that we levy the same amount as last year and capture new growth. That's exactly what Will County just did. We'd be in league with our brethren over there.
But then, they get 95 million in reserves as well.
They did. They've got a comfortable cushion of money. They have a $95 million reserve, which is actually like, if I remember correctly, it's about $24 million more than they actually need. So, a good or whatever they call it, accounting rules say that, you have so much of a cushion. And if you go beyond that, suddenly you're like the savings and loan. Well, that's not what the government's in the business to do. They're not there to hold all of our money, and like they're the repository of that. So, I agree with what they did over there at the county, that, they shorted the budget a little bit, and then they ended up taking it out of the reserves. I think they have a huge opportunity to take it out of the reserves and not even get down to that accepted level where they will not be in any kind of peril. We're, like Supervisor Steiner said, we're going to be in peril if we continue on this road. We have to watch our budgeting next time around and make sure that we understand where all this money's going. So. You good, Ken?
And I just want to say that these figures, that 1348780, whatever, that includes the levy amount that's going to be abated, which is the 165,280. So that's not what that's not what we're going to get. We're going to get like 11.
Right, it's not what we're going to net out because
Right.
of the abatement, but we are going to levy that
Yes.
if we motion that.
Right.
So is that a function you do every year? Is it basically?
Yes.
Yes.
That is
For
right.
that, until the bond is paid for.
Right.
Right.
I believe they've abated that every year. Maybe not the first year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the first year only because maybe they had to build up a reserve within that fund to to, you know, show that the revenue stream was there.
I think we refinanced the first year, that's why I didn't have to. They refied the bonds on the first year.
2021, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about like
No.
the first year of the bonds.
Oh, yeah, the first year.
Maybe like in 99 or 2000.
But I know they
got
just
together and
refied too on the bonds.
Did they? Okay.
So, yes, I'm looking for a motion for one amount, and then you can say A or nay.
Right.
And then if not, go from there. So I'm hearing Ken is like saying to go with the same figure as last year.
I would say either the same figure or even if we did the 1,348,000.
But the
Well, the-
1,348,000, that's not even capturing growth, that's just paying the bond.
Right. I think
So are you
until,
looking for a motion or are we still discussing?
I'm looking for a motion, and there hasn't been a motion.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to levy $1,342,530. The exact same number as last year, a 0% increase in our levy, and I'd like to capture the new growth.
Okay, 1,342,530.
530 even, and capture the growth.
Okay, so in order to capture the growth, don't I have to add?
the 18,000, right?
Yes.
Well, that will just come, though, right? The levy we're putting out there, because we don't know what that number's going to be. So if you codify that in the motion, we don't know that that's going to be 18,820 because we don't really know what the EAV is going to be. By capturing that new growth, once those numbers are solidified, we will be in line to get that.
Oh, is that accurate? I thought we had to have a solid number right now.
Well, these numbers aren't anything but solid. Right?
I mean, I can't control the EAV, it's just, it is what it is, you know, there's so many moving parts with it, you know. But it's-
1,342,530 is solid.
Right,
It's a solid
right,
number, yeah.
I thought we
It's
had
the
a
new
new
growth.
number, so
So
we
one new
can.
growth, we don't know what that's going to
Sure,
be.
so if we were to pass that number and then determine that the new growth is 18,520 or maybe it's 19,200, whatever, we can
We'll be
update
entitled
that
to that.
I'll
later.
refer to Carmen, but I don't know that that's accurate. I believe that, like, the reason why you go and you speak with the assessor and you figure out the new construction is so
So
you
you
can
can
come out with
estimate.
an estimate of the new growth
That's
as
okay.
well and then include that in the amount. That's my understanding.
Right.
So I think we would need to include that now.
So I'll give you guys,
So that's what.
just to give you guys a little heads up, that new growth calculation I put in is so it doesn't increase the rate. That's the goal. We didn't want to go above where you guys could really go, right? I didn't want you guys to face a quandary where you increase that rate. You just wanted to keep the rate level, right? So basically, it's a zero. You're doing a zero increase on the levy. That's what we're looking at.
I mean, his estimate for new growth was actually higher
That's, so
than
that's,
what the county had.
that's your line there that says you can increase your levy by about $18,520,000 without
Yeah.
increasing the tax rate.
Yeah, and then when I get it off the assessor number, my assessor's numbers off my Canvas system, I was a lot higher. I was $23,000. Actually, I have the number here if anybody wants to see it.
Yeah.
So it was 23,252.58, and that's just going off my assessed value numbers. So
So then that's why we get that figure, the 1,348,
So then it'd be,
or no, we get the 1,367.
so my motion would be then to levy the $1,342,530 plus capture the new growth of $18,520, giving us a total levy of $1,361,050.
I would second that motion.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Okay, Supervisor Skylin,
Aye.
Trustee Melody,
Aye.
Trustee Severs. Aye. Trustee Gray,
Aye.
Trustee Marson.
No.
Okay.
Motion carries. Okay, moving on. abatement. I'm trying to find my page. Is it not in here?
Yeah, it's right after,
Okay.
93, page 93.
Oh, here it is, I got it. Okay, so this is due to sufficient funds received from the Founders Crossing senior apartment rents collected. Homer Township can abate a portion of taxes heretofore levied to pay principal and interest on certain general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2021. So is there a motion to approve tax abatement for the Township's general obligation bonds, Series 2021, in the sum equal to the levy?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Marson? Call the vote.
Okay, Supervisor Stylin?
Aye.
Trustee Marson?
Aye.
Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to to old business. Last month I brought up the Founders Crossing flooring replacement plan. Now, as I said before, that at Founders, the rents that are collected pretty much cover everything that's there when we make them a budget. And when those units were first furnished, they had carpeting and tile in the kitchen and entryway. And as time has gone on, we have found that many of the residents use wheelchairs and walkers, and it really wears down the carpeting, and just carpeting ends up needing to be replaced, stains and all sorts of other reasons. And our usual policy is to refurbish those units when they're up and vacant, because it's just easier to do that when there's nothing in them. But we do have some residents that have been in there for a number of years, and they are requesting vinyl flooring to replace their carpeting. And once you do it for one, the next one says, well, how about me? How about me? You know, and it starts to begin with one, do you have enough money to do it? And then what is our procedure or guideline? And I'm just the poorest example because my carpet in my house is really old. So I have replaced some flooring, but there is some that's probably been there for 30 years. So, but these are different tenants. And so the question is, I think I just want to say what is a reasonable amount of time? And we tried to do a Google search, and it could be 10 years, it could be 15 years. And so I just want to get some feedback.
Reasonable amount of time on what?
On replacing it, like if somebody is still in the unit.
Right.
Because, and we do have, some records of when the flooring had been replaced, and some of it's gone back to 2011. So, we're almost 15 years for that. So I think it would be reasonable to, say 15. If you think newer than that, we have 2 units right now that we're refurbishing that will be up for rent soon, that are vacant. And then we've had 4 people ask to have their flooring replaced, and I thought we could, set aside maybe a certain amount of funds and see how it goes, and start with the oldest ones first, and start with 15 years, and then
How old are the 4 that have requested? How old?
how long have they been in their units? That's a good question. Let me see if I can figure that out from looking at this. It doesn't say when they moved in. No, it doesn't.
So,
But chances are they were like that when they moved in,
so total units, there's 30 total units?
Correct.
There's 32, right? The 2 that are the community center, right? So
Correct.
it's 30 that are rentable units. And of those 30, do we know how many have already been converted over by, over from carpet?
That's a good question. Probably, let me see if that's in here. No, honestly, I don't know.
The only reason I ask
Yeah,
is because if we want to try to put together a program, a multi-year program, that we put a certain dollar amount to each year, and we say that we're going to do, let's say of the 30 units, let's say 6 have already been changed over possibly, right?
Yeah,
Then
at
there'd be
least.
24 remaining. Do we want to try to knock out 5 a year for 5 years? And what does that look like dollar-wise?
Well, I can say that I might be able to figure that out because we have some vinyl replacement. It has the years that they were replaced. 1, 2. Let's say within the last 3. 6. I would say, 7 or 8 have probably already been
Okay.
replaced.
So there's not a huge amount left to do.
Correct.
It's just a matter you want to do it as part of a program instead of kind of just a ad hoc here and there.
Well, and then plus let the residents know.
Right. There's gotta be some
like why did you do hers and not mine?
Right.
Well, this is what we've decided, and maybe yours will get replaced next year.
Right.
Because you'll be 1 year
Right,
into
exactly.
it. And if funds allow, maybe we could do them sooner, but, we're not just replacing them for the sake. But it is easier to have vinyl flooring in there versus carpeting for their mobility.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. And I like the idea of this program, and I like the idea of making it a program that, there's a schedule to it, and, everybody sticks to the schedule for the most part, and we roll it out that way as opposed to just kind of, but I know last month or 2 months ago we talked about this also, and we talked about possible, what would we pay for the movers to go in and move all their furniture out and, and put it back in place. So are you also,
Well, that was another question.
okay,
Do we want our guys to do it? They're limited right now, especially if we keep getting snow.
right.
They're.
So our guys would be putting down the flooring.
Right.
And taking out the carpet,
Yes,
but not necessarily moving all the furniture.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
And have you guys researched what
So
that looks
it's-
like as far as
it's-
getting and moving?
Yeah, we did get some quotes for moving, and it's, what they do is it's about $1,300.
To move it out of the unit into the garage and then move it back in when the flooring is complete.
Right,
And how much is the flooring itself?
it's 1,000.
So, and,
We're looking at, let's say 4,000 a unit.
A unit, okay.
It'll probably come in under that.
okay, so less than $4,000
Yeah,
per unit.
2 of the units already have tile in some. I don't know if it's matching or not.
So, again, getting back to what I started out, if we set a program of trying to do 5 units a year, we'd need to budget $20,000 or less in that line item category.
And we already have money
Right.
for this year in the budget. We have over 30,000 in that line item. So I think it would be safe
Right.
to go ahead and do it this
Yeah.
year.
Well,
During the winter.
at least to start, well, I'm seeing flashing.
Yeah, I saw it too.
At least to start, identifying the units and starting to prioritize the list and say which ones are going to be in that first group of 5, which will be in the second group of 5,
Right.
and so forth. I absolutely agree. And I know this is under. Maybe I should bring that up on new business because I'd like to see an expansion of this actually.
Well, it is under,
I think it's under.
it's under,
So,
yeah.
I don't know if I can discuss expanding that, but I know back in June, I believe it was, when Ken and Sue and I were over at the Founders, and we met with a lot of the residents over there. They were also asking about things like grab bars, and I think it'd be almost a good time to do that at the same time. So if we could also find out per unit what it would cost to install grab bars in the bathrooms, maybe it'd be a good idea to roll them both out at the same time. You're making a mess in somebody's unit when you're doing the flooring and everything,
Right.
and all of their stuff is out. If you're going to be drilling, making any kind of dust or anything, maybe it's a good time to investigate that.
Yeah, I think we have to find out who needs to do that, or how much it wouldn't be the same necessarily. It might not be our guys, I don't know, what's involved in installing grab bars.
Right.
Like knowing guidelines, standards, or,
Right.
drilling through the tile or whatever. So, okay, I think I'll find
Quick
that out.
question.
Yeah,
So do we have 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom?
no, just 2 bedrooms.
They're all 2 bedrooms?
Mhm.
Okay.
And then the other, we have another resident that's interested in, she didn't submit it, but that'll come next month probably. She wants to pay for putting in a walk-in bath,
Putting up what?
walk-in shower,
Oh.
instead of having a bathtub. That's another issue that the seniors face. It's really hard to get in and out of a bathtub, so especially if you're in a wheelchair.
Right.
So, we'll be looking at that, like what would be the policy for that. So what I'm going to do then, if it's okay with you, I'm going to go ahead and start lining these up. And of course, the expenses will be approved before the board. So, okay. So nothing else that needed to be voted on. Next thing is updates. So everybody knows, we are, for the Civic Center, we're in a pause. As you heard us discussing the levy, we don't have a lot of available funds. We've been going into reserves. So unless we can magically figure this out, how we can do that, and which I just don't think it's there, we decided to pause because we don't want to spend money and then find out, oh, we should have put this kind of fire system, suppression system in, or we should have changed this or that. We want to make sure that what we're doing is what the community wants. So we prepared a survey, and I emailed the board members a copy, screenshot copy of the survey. If you don't have one, let me know, because it doesn't look like. So I had a couple comments from the committee members that have reviewed it when it was sent out, and those were to add, we said Homer Township covers Lockport, Homer Glen, and unincorporated area of Homer Township. It also includes New Lenox, so we'll add that in there. And another comment was to add a sentence in there saying that we do not have the funds to complete the building at this time. And then, so if there's any other, and then there was maybe some spelling here, or a typo in there. If anybody else had any comments or thoughts, so I'd like to get this sent out tomorrow. And the idea would be, and we're gonna just blitz it everywhere we can, whether it's on social media, send it out to the homeowners associations to spread to their residents and any mailings that we have. And ideally, we are hoping to get responses back by June 4th, June 5th, or June, January. I'm like, wow. January. And then that would give us some guidance for moving forward and looking at the funding options.
What feedback are you looking for with this?
Mainly, if you look at it, the main thing is the uses of it. Like, is it going to be a sports facility? Is it just going to be a big empty building that you just have maybe an exhibit hall, an expo? Or do you want this building broken down into several different rooms so you can have meetings and community space for organizations to meet? Or is it going to be a sports facility with like wheelchair basketball and other sports activities? So that's basically, because that affects the flooring and the ceiling and some other items before we go forward.
I mean, we're going to get 10,000 opinions, and we just have to get it open at some point.
Right. But this will, they're all different, no, but this is, what we're doing is we're sending this, we're asking, I'm sorry, I put mine somewhere. Right, but, so the first thing is to ask them where you see, you're selecting up to 3 uses, and then it's going to be narrowed down to what's your primary use. So then when we know that ideally we could identify 3 uses that the community wants to see and send out another survey and go from there.
So there's limited, I mean, there's limited options, right? So you're gonna get 10,000 opinions, they'd be able to group them. There's only so many they could select from, and we'll know, 40% of the people want it for senior programs, 30% of the people want it for special needs or whatever, and be able to rank them and see what's the most popular or what's the most preferred amongst the residents.
But we kind of know already if they want it for special needs sports,
Do we?
told. What's that?
How do we know already?
Well, what I'm saying is, say 40% come in that they want it. We know that that's not till like a phase 3. That's not going to get it open.
But it affects this, it might affect the septic system, it might affect the fire suppression system, it might affect the lighting, it might, I mean, you might think that, but if you talk to like the architect or something, they may say something different. And then we can actually calculate the cost out of what it's going to probably cost to finish it. Otherwise, and it's also involving the community and saying, hey, we value your input and we want to know it. And it's going to confirm what we're doing with the building. Otherwise, it's just us sitting here saying, oh, I think it should just be this. And the community really hasn't had a chance to say what they need or what is the most important thing to the community right now. Because it's going to cost more money. And somehow we're going to have to find that money. And if we go applying for a grant, we're going to have to say what it's for, what we're going to use the building for. There, might appeal to different grantors. Say if it's for special needs, you might appeal to different grants for that. If we're going to just be an open building, might be limiting. So, is anybody opposed to this survey?
Not opposed to it.
Yeah, I'm saying not opposed. I have some of the same concerns as Ken, that, it's a little confusing. You can ask people what they want, but we already know that the basics have to be met. And I don't think the basics are going to change that much, whether or not it's a big open space for expo or if it was. I mean, when the building was originally conceived, as little input went into it as there was, it was conceived as a sports thing. So that's kind of a big open use. I don't think an expo and a sports thing is actually that different.
Flooring would be different.
Well, but we know just getting the building open, we're not going to be putting the floor in, we're only going to seal it because of the cost. And I absolutely agree that it's great to ask the community for their opinion. I'm worried that it might be a little premature. I like that you're now going to include another line in there that says, right now we do not have the funds to finish this building. So I like that you've expanded that a little bit. I'd like an even further expansion on that, just saying, the life safety, the electric lighting, things like that are all basically, that's not there, and that has to come before any use, really. So, right, the use might dictate a little bit of the design of those build-outs, but I think, I don't think it's going to change that much. But I do agree that getting input from the community is good. I really want to stress that, I think we have. I think we've been honest and open and everything all along, that there's no funds right now for this. And there are very few grants for poorly planned projects that went awry and, did not have the money, that didn't have the capital in place to finish them, I don't know how you find that on a grant form.
Well, and I think by doing this, it demonstrates it helps us build a plan and shows that this is what we're doing. Otherwise you're looking for money to do what? It just.
I get it.
I just think it solidifies and makes our planning.
And to know what is the dollar amount that we need to raise, right? Depending on what we're going to use it for and what other additional items there are. So we go and we have that number versus going for one and then realizing, oh, maybe we need some more money a year from now, and then trying to get more and have that plan in place. And I don't, it's above my pay grade, but on the committee we have several professionals, contractors and such that have said, that there could be changes even for the basics to get it open of, depending on what you're using it for, there could be something different that, you wouldn't want to have to go back and change later if you went down that, so.
So unless I hear an objection, I'm going to send this out tomorrow. I'm going to update it and send it out.
No objection.
Okay. All right, that's my, my privilege, right? All right, moving on for updates. Our audit is finished, and the annual audit was filed today, tomorrow morning, the single audit. We did have a delay in the audit, and the reason being is because the single audit involved the use of federal funds, and there was we just wanted to make sure that something didn't surface that would affect the annual audit, and so we will post those on the website by the end of the week. So that's that, and then, I kind of jumped ahead on the community survey, so we can skip that. And then zoning cases, I thought I would add this to the agenda. And we do get alerted with different things that are coming up at the county. And I just thought I'd start adding this at the meetings because our residents have been surprised by what's coming in their area. And so what's coming up now is right along, and I did email you guys, I think I forwarded this out to you, but just for the public, there's a landscape business that wants to come in on Cedar Road. It would be kind of the east end of the curve when you're heading south from here. It's like right near the Como property. And my concern there is that we have new homes going up where Tierling is, and new homes, the Sadie Ridge on Bruce to the west. And most residents around here know that that curve does have some traffic fatality.
Can't see. Can't see.
Yeah,
There's
so-
buildings in the way.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to talk to you. Caught me. But,
Over there.
so anyway, I would like to, mention that with the county, if there's any other concerns, if anybody has, or I'm just going to say this to the public, if you have concerns, reach out to the county zoning department or give us a call, and we'll include that in a letter to them. I think that it's not going before their boards, it's just they're doing their internal review processes right now. And I think they're doing that on the 26th. So that's zoning. So other than that, I don't have anything else before we go. I would like to go into a closed session to discuss personnel. I have to tell you that. And then
Okay, yeah, we'll do a better motion for reciting the exact provision of the open meetings act. So there's really no exception to talk about personnel. The Attorney General said we've got to just read the exception
okay.
as it is. So I can propose a motion if we're ready to do that now. If I lost it, let me see. Can you do this for me?
And possibly
Okay. All right. So it'll be a motion to adjourn to recess to executive session for the purpose of discussing the filling of a vacancy in a public office where the township has the ability to appoint a successor, and also for the purpose of reviewing executive session minutes for ultimate approval in open session.
Make that motion?
Second.
Melody. Greg.
You have to do a roll call.
Supervisor Stein?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Modi?
Aye.
Trustee Merson?
Aye.
And Trustee Siebert?
Aye. Okay, we'll just wait a few minutes for everybody to wrap up.